That's it.
No way. It's a bit of a different capture for the old shrimp. High-speed shrimping's not normally the way we catch these things, but hey.
What doesn't eat them?
This week on the AFN Fishing Show, Nige joins fishing guide Nickoli Fewtrell as they travel from the freshwater to the salt, trying to catch as many different species as they can. Will they hit their 5 species target or fall short of the mark?
Yesterday I spent the better part of a day travelling across to Weipa to meet up with my good mate Nico, who's towed a boat conveniently for us 10 hours north. We met up last night. Today we're in a system about 45 minutes north of Weipa. The plan is to fish it from the fresh all the way out into the ocean, fishing the whole way. A box has been sent up with the camera crew. Dicko's packed a series of lures from the Xeric range into some tackle boxes. We haven't seen them yet. We've got to catch 5 different species on those lures just to get a pass mark. If we get 10, we get a bonus mark. We finish the day, you and I, cooking up a feed with a cold beverage or two, giving them the big high tans. I was very happy when I opened the tackle box and saw that we had variety, we had versatility, we had sinking soft lipless crankbaits, there was paddle tailed soft plastics, there was prawn imitations, and there was some neat hard bodies as well. So between Nico and I, we thought, okay, well, we've got, we had a few surface lures in there. We had everything pretty well covered. The boys had looked after us. We've got the water level covered. All right, mate, first light just starting. We keep our mind about us here because this is Croc Central.
Plenty of crocs.
But plenty of fish. All right, let the challenge begin, boys. We've driven for about an hour now, Nico. Come up a fair way upstream.
Yeah, we'll push right up here into the brackish water, coming onto the fresh, where we should start to find a few Saratoga, Barra.
At the moment it's early in the day. We're going to go with a bit of a mix of lures, a different approach. So we've got obviously got a frog imitation, the Gandalf, got a little skittish dog which is a surface walker, and Nico's going to cover whatever's slightly below the surface just in the way of a flat shad, so it's a paddle tail soft plastic. There is
Toga.
Toga.
Barra. That's a Barra, I think.
No, it's
That's
Toga. It's a togue. You called it, Nico. Awesome. Nice work, Nico. We called it. Freshwater parts. This is one of the target species. We get up there early. We might come across a toga. Didn't he line it up? They just saw this bow wave straight onto the surface lure. These fish are truly spectacular. You've got to love a fish that looks like that. It's out of another age. You can obviously see by design that they live eating predominantly insects and the like. Big mouths, massive mouth the size of the fish, eyes close together. He'll sit there staring majority of the time at the surface, just looking for hapless insects and prawns and small bait fish that come through his domain, and he's going to come up and whack them. So a lure like that, little walk the dog style lure, pitched into those dark spots. Perfect way to come across these, and what a special way to get us off the mark. There's number 1. Is it? Nice.
Ooh, get out of there.
Get out of the timber.
Just put that lure just over this bit of timber here. Although he's not the biggest fella around, it's another species for the challenge.
Nice, mate. Little Barra X floating models work for you?
Going really well. Great action.
Lures like these Xeric skittish dogs are what we commonly refer to as a surface stick bait. They're designed to look like a whole range of different food sources for a variety of fish species. We've got a beautiful rolling belly, slightly cup face just beneath the chin. Allows you to do a lot of things with these lures. First and most important thing is to cast it right into where you think the fish are going to be, get it into those dark spots. And then sometimes just let it sit for a second, just to make it look like something's fallen into the zone of a fish. From there, there's a number of ways to work them. Some anglers like to keep the rod tip high and just wiggle and slowly wind as they retrieve it and get that side to side action of the lure. Or alternatively, you can drop your rod tip and give them short, sharp little ducking twitches, and what it does is it kicks the chin of the lure into the water and gives it that little bloop which brings fish running, and you can then work it all the way back to the boat. Just keep in mind, put a pause into it every 2 or 3 metres, because very often as it pauses, the fish it's following will come and eat it. Nico and I have pushed down into the salt now. We've got a Start of the run out tide by the look of it, mate. This water looks beautiful, just a slight greenish tinge to it. It is pushing hard, so what we're going to do is work with the soft plastics for a little while and prospect just variably weighted plastics, get them down to where we think fish are going to be holding, and jig and slow roll them. We just headed towards the mouth until we started seeing a nice bit of colour change, started seeing the type of structure that we wanted to fish, like a bit of rock bar, some good looking banks with a bit of relief to them, snaggy structure, and that was the best place to start. And obviously there, suddenly you're dealing with current, working out how to get a lure down to where the strike zone is, looking on your sounder to look for signs of bait. And it's a case of starting to dredge up some of those saltwater species. Shrimp straight down the trunk of that tree there, and it got clunked on the way down. Only one kind of fish bites like that. Barramundi, people travel from around the world to come and play with these for good reason. They're so much fun. They get a whole lot bigger than this one. This, like any fish, loves eating prawns. Hence the Xeric hot legs is a great option. Just weighted right and hopped, or just slowly rolled out of its spot. It's going to hunt this down with vigour.
Another species.
Another species, that's number 3.
There's another species. That's in the boat.
Virtually poled into the boat out of a snag. Barracuda eating hot legs. Nico goes, that's number 4 as it hit the deck. Spat the lure pretty quick, but it was in the boat by then. You find between fresh and salt, there's some species which are going to live their whole life in the fresh, and then you've got a bunch which are going to live in the estuarine salt, but they'll migrate to the fresh occasionally, and then offshore you're going to find your species which live in the salt all year round. When you're moving between those different environments, the type of structure you fish will change. Obviously from some of those snaggy little hidey holes up in the fresh, you then come down to the harder running waters of the saltwater estuary, and then it becomes a combination type recipe. You want to find areas where current is combining with structure, because wherever you find that, you're going to find pressure shadows in the current. It's areas where bait will hold. They get shelter and they get a rest from the current, and wherever you find that food source, not far away you're going to find the predators. So suddenly you've got to tune into different structures, and then also how to fish that flow regime.
There's another species for you, Nige.
There we go, I'm going to flowers out for I'm unhooking them like a champion today. Let's put my lure away for a second. There you go. This part of the world is alive with queenfish. Pelagic and very aggressive predators. Once again, big mouths. It's made for charging things down. Good thing is we've caught them on a range of different lures at the moment, just using a variety of approaches. Just suit your lure and your retrieve to match the conditions, and you stand to come across a variety of fish, and some good ones too. That was on the Barrax. The lure, it's way too big for this guy, but it shows you how aggressive they are up here. We'll get him back. They don't like being out of water too long.
Grunter.
Nice. Oh, there we go.
Well done. Well done.
Clark, a very nice bite out of that. While Nico's working the fish trap, I've gone with the hot legs, just a slightly different approach. Nico's got the fish trap's very much a vibrating lure. The hot legs is a more silent approach, so between us I thought, well, let's vary the approach a little bit, a noisy and a quiet one. See what we can come up with. He's munched that. And that is a species a lot of the bait guys chase around with vigor because they are very, very tasty. That's species number 6. On top of that, this could be Nico and my dinner because they are very, very tasty. I reckon, mate, the way we're going at the moment, don't want to speak too soon, but we've got 4 to go. You and I are sipping a beverage waiting for fish fillets to cook, watching the sunset somewhere. It's almost romantic if I wasn't looking at a head like that.
Holy.
Fishing with weighted sinking lures and drifting along the bank's a great way to cover ground and work fish at a variety of different depths. And the key is throwing up relatively close to the bank and then working the lure along the bottom towards you as you drift. So effectively the lure's jigging its way down a ledge, but you're also working along with the current. And the key is to get the weight of your lure to the point where you and the lure move at the same speed of the current, because that's the most natural presentation that you can give. It's really imperative to have braided line when you're doing this as well, because you want full contact throughout your retrieve. At the moment I'm using some of the 40-pound Wish braid. It's an 8-carrier braid. It's also really visible. It's bright green, so it lets me see what's happening with the lure the whole time. I can see the moment the lure hits the bottom and it slackens off. I can very often see a bite before I feel it through the rod. Key is line management and lure management. If you can keep it down there with the fish, stands to reason you're going to get a lot of bites from a whole variety of fish. Start calling Nico the plumber.
There we go. That's a better fish too.
No. The fish trap, trap the queenie. What have we got? What have we got? Just ate it off that stick, Nico.
Try to turn the boat wheel. It's a nice fish.
Hey,
Nice fish.
he's out the back somewhere. Big Queenie. Oh yes, look at him out there, he's going nuts. Shows you how everything eats a prawn. You don't have to be fishing a slick or fast moving lure. Quite often, I find a lot of anglers like to fish quick lures for queenies, and you do get a lot of bites for those quick lures, but they will eat a prawn. Let's put in front of them. Whoa. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a big shark.
Not much of queenie left.
No, not much queenie left. Oh dear, Nico.
No.
Oh dear. Oh, look at him, still coming. That's what's left of my queenie. Unfortunately, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Been on the water chasing a few and come across some weird and wonderful contraptions which can only belong to one bloke and one organisation. They would be the Croc traps from Toby and the team at Australia Zoo, which got me to thinking, when we're out there fishing in those moments of excitement, we tend to forget sometimes of a very real threat sitting just below the water. So to maybe demonstrate a little bit about what that threat is, Toby's got a bit of a treat for us.
Too right, mate. I've got a cracking treat for you. We're going to get Acco, our biggest crocodile, out of the water, and I'm going to run you through what you can and can't do in croc territory. Particularly our biggest crocodile, you really get to see what he's capable of. And as a bigger treat, I'm going to get you in there with me.
Cool.
So I'm going to dress you up so you don't look like lunch and make sure you're safe.
Acco's ready. Crowd are waiting to see if Nige is going to be lunch, so stick around.
Let's go and do it. So the reason that a crocodile would potentially have a go at a person is if you are doing the wrong thing in croc territory. They are very, very territorial, which is one of the reasons why they'll attack, and also obviously for food, because they just grow to such a large size that us humans do unfortunately fall into the size range of food they can eat.
So you can see the way he's sitting there now. He's got 3 points above the water. He's got his eyes. Yep. Behind his eyes, there's a little tiny black slit, that's his ears. Yep. And then right on the end of his snout is his nose. So that's how they'll sit in the water. So that way he can see, hear and smell. And from 500 metres away, you'd never think that was a croc. And then as soon as, because he'll scan the riverbanks and look for anything that's around, and as soon as something like a fisho comes down to the water to go fishing at a freshwater billabong, he'll do that. He'll go under the water. Now from where he is there now, even though that's dirty, he can still see. He's got an extra eyelid, which flicks across his eye, called a nictitating membrane.
So probably the most common time to have a confrontation with the crocodile would be early morning or late afternoon, which is the times the animals that they're liking to feed on pigs, kangaroos, that's when they go down to the water to drink, but they don't discriminate. They are very opportunistic, so it's really important to be vigilant at any time of day when you're in croc territory. If you're a fisho growing into croc territory, there's 3 things that you do not do when you're in croc territory. First and most obvious is you don't swim. 2, you do not stand next to the water's edge to fish. They can strike half their body, and the biggest recorded salty was 7 metres long. So 4 to 5 metres, you'll have no problems at all. And you don't overhang the water. So you don't sit on those big, huge paper barks, which look awesome spot to go fishing. You don't overhang the water because they can come vertically out of the water. So the best way to be croc-wise when you're in croc territory, things that you can do is stand back from the water's edge if you want to go fishing from the bank. If you want to go in the water, just do it in a good sized tin boat. Don't go out in a truck tie tube or a rubber raft, which I've seen people do. When you're cleaning your fish, just don't leave your scraps on the riverbank, because that will encourage crocodiles to display non-natural behaviours and kind of associate in an indirect way people with food. So you follow those easy little things and you'll never have a problem. So where you could come into a possible confrontation with the crocodile is anywhere north these days of about Fraser Island. They have been seen down there. Anywhere north of Fraser, all the way around the top of Australia, all the way to Broome in WA, and even hundreds of k's inland in complete freshwater. So being croc safe in croc territory is not just important for us, it's important for the crocodiles as well, because they're such an important animal. They're an apex predator. There's no animal that's more important in the food chain, and when someone is involved in either an incident or a fatality, the crocs suffer as well, because in one way or another, that croc is removed from the wild. So it's really important that people do the right thing.
The mouth of the estuary is always a surprise packet. Yeah, depending on the type of water quality you get there, the food source, you can find just about any species of fish there. Travelling through the mouth of the estuary that day was the classic case. If you keep your eye open and you just get to see fish pop up out of nowhere, the benefit then is having a rod close by. It doesn't matter what lure's on it. If you've got something with a hook in it, you throw it at it and you just do your best.
Yes!
Oh, I got him!
That's it!
No way. It's a bit of a different capture for the old shrimp. High-speed shrimping's not normally the way we catch these things, but hey.
What doesn't eat them?
That's brilliant. We've obviously come out to chase a whole variety of species today. To do that, you've got to have versatile outfits on board. I've come equipped with venom rods, both in bait cast and in spin, both in that PE 2 to 4 range. In spin, I've matched them up with 3,000 and 5,000 size threadline reels and the 40-pound braid. Just because it's pure versatility, you can chase everything from small to average fish, both to big critters, and you know you're going to have a good shot at landing them. Also light, very sensitive. They're going to let you fish a whole variety of different lure techniques and enjoy it all the way. You got it, you go, straight in. Yes! Woo! Nice one, dude. Not your typical choice of tuna lure, the Xeric hot legs, but when the opportunity is there and you've got to have a shot at a fish, you just take whatever you can get. This time it worked. There's another species on the board, one I wasn't quite expecting, but hey, take whatever comes our way. Couple of K's offshore now. What do we got? Oh, Tusky.
Is it Tusky?
Yep, Tusky.
Hang on, don't lift him up.
I won't, because he was well and truly in the reef. Yes! First drop.
First drop on the prawn.
Woo! Beautiful fish. What is it?
Little finger mark.
Finger it. The species just keep on rolling. We're getting there. Very nice. Fishing in 10 metres of reef country at the moment. I've gone to a half-ounce jig in and I'm dropping down the Xeric hot legs, going with that prawn imitation. Dicko is lifting a good old fish trap. He loves those lipless crankbaits, and oh wow, line just took off.
There we go.
Go hard. As you can see, you get amongst the fish and you drop. Oh, I missed him, Trev. What have you got?
Got a cod, that's our number 10.
Another one of our popular reef species, the estuary cod. Normally when they're this size, Nico, they tend to hang in the estuary, but he's wandered out for a bit of a feed on the reef.
That's only 3 drops, Nige.
There you go, we're going to get this guy back in the water. I'm going to start going into well and truly bonus domain. Oh.
That's better.
Oh, don't do that. Well, you can't really ask for a much better day in the water. Get into some beautiful freshwater Cape York stuff. You get to play with Saratoga and sooties. Go down into the more tidal reaches. Play with barra and queenies. Miss a few threes and all sorts of stuff like that. And you come out here, play with a few pelagic and reef species. Whew!
It's a lovely gold spot.
And Nico, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it doesn't really get a whole lot better than having a fishing day like that. Oh yeah, beautiful fish. Saw a whole bunch of stuff on the sounder and picked up Nico's bait caster with a hot legs on it and dropped it down, and it's been creamed by something solid. Here he comes, same colour there. They battle hard.
Magnificent.
I don't know if I
fish.
needed that at the end of the day, but
Of course you did.
I think that's a good 12 species.
It's 12.
We'll call it the day of the Xeric Dirty Dozen. And with that, sun's starting to get low in the sky, might be time. Let's go and have a relaxing feed. Get ready,
Two well deserved.
get ready to maybe go and do it again tomorrow.
Mad if we don't.
Having seen so many awesome spectacles all day, I think there was few better ways to finish than sitting on the deck of the boat. We're covered in sweat and red dust. The boat's showing the signs of a torrid day on the water. And then just with Nico, always got his cooker handy and a couple of cold ones stashed away to be able to knock down a couple of fresh fillets of fish and enjoy a beer with a good mate and talk through everything that happened for a day. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that.